Welcome back to episode 3 of Echo Disrupted.
We are back to talk about the latest hot topics, politics, and day-to-day activity in social media and in pop culture. A couple of different subject matters. Yeah, so like with Boosie and all these other people who are so worried about saying something that they're worried about getting locked up for. Why are y'all on TV if y'all criminals?
Right. Exactly.
Like, why you again?
And then
why-
talking to the dude that you call in that you say is the Fed. I forgot the number that they said
like, in terms of what they get
pays them
paid.
each episode. Yeah.
I think something like 10 grand.
See, I don't want to get that 10 grand confused with the 10 grand for Dr. Umar that Kamala's campaign.
Listen,
I don't want to get the numbers confused.
Dr. Umar bugging the hell out. Listen, they tell you anybody Dr. Umar 10 grand to speak to him. Knock it off, bro. Like Dr. Umar, I listened to Dr. Umar went on Roland Martin years ago. And Roland didn't start off. It wasn't going to be confrontational starting off. Are you familiar with Karen Hunter, the Karen Hunter show?
Yeah.
When you go on their shows, you got to be on point.
Yeah, Karen is like big New York journalism, sports, the whole bit. Yeah.
I think what happens is, right, so many of us are just used to finessing stuff that when we get into an arena with somebody who's real deal, but down home and a homeboy from around the way, it confuses us. Like, I remember watching that interview, and I don't think Roland didn't come out like with guns blazing. He was just like, yo, bro, that's the wrong answer. That's not accurate. And of course, Umar came out with the Ufa Tunde and I'm the relative of Mount Marcus Garvey and all. I'm like, bruh, that ain't got nothing to do with nothing right now. By the way, where the school at?
I just was looking at something and they said it's been 19 years. And now he pushed the date back to August of 2025. That was going to be like 20 years.
Ever since I've known him, he's been trying to open up that school. And he's had so many arguments. Him and Lord Jamar had an argument. Because Lord Jamar was like, yo, my stepdad is in this space. If you need some assistance, I'd be glad to share the information with you. I'd do the introductions. He wasn't here for that. He was pissed. He fought back. I think he thought Jamal was trying to take a shot at him. But again, the minute the rubber meets the road and you have to now substantiate everything that you've been saying, it changes up. When he was on Karen Hunter's show, Karen Hunter was, okay, let me check out what it is with him, right? Listen. And it went left quickly. It went left because, again, Karen Hunter spits out historical and empirical facts like off the top of her head, right? And if you saying sideways, she ain't gonna sit here and she's not suffering from fools, right? So she's gonna sit here and let you do what you do and be like, yo, but what about this and what about that? Same thing happened with her and Tariq Nasheed. And that one went very quick.
I can imagine.
Tariq Nasheed's another one, right? When dudes be talking about them FBA dudes, we foundational Black Americans, shut your dumb ass up. Shut your dumb ass up. Like, how you a grown man saying that nonsense? Shut your dumb ass up. You know what y'all are? Y'all a bunch of Black men with low self-esteem looking for a gang to belong to, right? If we did a 23andMe, where would you lead? Some of y'all are from Grenada, right? Some of y'all are from Haiti, right? I be seeing y'all look like family members, right? It's like some of y'all are Jamaican. What are we even talking about?
Yeah, I think, honestly, Dr. Umar is one of these, let's say, YouTuber that has been on Dr. Umar's neck. Lennon Honor. His name is Lennon Honor, Lenonhonor. So if you're a Dr. Umar supporter, then you would have dug into his background, Lennon Honor's background, and had a whole bunch of things to say about him and how he's making money off of Umar, regardless of whatever people think. I think the fact is that there still isn't a school where it's accredited, where there's boys in there, that people are learning, they're graduating. You could have people that already have graduated and went through the college if that's the whole point, right?
So it started their own school.
It started, right. And so I think what it is too, I just wonder we talk about grift from be it the Trumps and all of those folks, but it's also the grift within the community as well. So the Umars, the Tariqs, the people can go back to the Reverend Ikes and the list can go on. And it's what is that factor that people manage to grab on. And with Dr. Umar, it could be said that he is the one that is looking at single mothers, Black mothers in the community, obviously don't want their kid to end up in the prison pipeline and end up in a gang or whatever the scare tactics are, which is, they're real. Those things can happen, but you play upon that. So then you get them to buy in and donate. You don't want them to get Ritalin because if it's ADHD or ADD, whatever all of the list of things. And you get people to donate, but now everyone is, wait a second, I've been donating. Where is this money? Where is it? And then then they were saying that the school is actually, I guess he supposedly purchased it for $400,000. They're talking about the one in Delaware, but it's on the brownfield. So that was why it was so cheap. But now it's been so long that now they're starting to gentrify the area. That grift is real when you find something where you're supposedly answering an issue that's founded in us, so we're not going to cheat us. It does get a gravitational pull from people. I don't know about 20 years or 19 years. People have donated. And now, and to say what? Paint job and growing some vegetation on brownfield? I don't know.
If you follow him on IG, this dude always got his arm around some chick, right? Always, I guess wherever he's going, he takes pictures of women. And me and one of my friends always joke around about it. We go years back. Like, yeah, this is what this dude does, right? And again, to your point, the grift. I think that the issue is with a lot of us is, and it's what Trump's appeal is. We like the loud and the gaudy, right? Mm-hmm. Trump comes out with gold sneakers, right? Who's that targeting? Like, that's a black.
That Joe got a pair.
Yeah, but yet the vapid, right? You don't necessarily have to have substance. You just got to really sound and look good. And it's really unfortunate because that's why we always get caught with the Umar Johnsons, with what's the other dude's name out of, I just mentioned it.
Tariq
and Nasheed. Right. And so me and this dude are going back and forth about Tariq Nasheed. And the dude's telling me, oh yeah, he's a leader. I sent him a video of Tariq Nasheed. His music, in the name of his music, of his group is Mink Slide. And he over there dancing, acting a goddamn fool. Dude,
I think he did. Did he have something to do with Jay Morrison too? I gotta look that up.
They're all in the same. They're all part of the same grift. Like some of them, like the Earn Your Leisure dudes, were able to put some distance between them and some of the other guys where they weren't necessarily as attached to these guys. But all of these guys, the other one is, what's his name? And me and this dude have gone at it each other so many times. What's his name? Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins is one of the biggest, my God, one of the biggest scriptures.
Look.
This out here talking about how he's financially this, that, and the third. I have inside information. I know without putting his business out there, he is not that solvent financially. I'll tell you off camera. But we as a people, right, there's a couple of different things working. We're always looking for a leader. Right. For some reason, when I go back and forth, and it doesn't even matter what we had in just conversations. When I'm having a conversation with you and you start quoting somebody else, oh, doctor, this guy said this and doctor, that guy said that. Like, why you even put this dude into the equation? They'll even go back to, what's my man's name? With the miseducation of the Negro. Wow, why am I not remembering his name? Because they don't have arguments of their own. These aren't organic philosophies. These aren't, okay, I thought this through and I now have a perspective of my own. Even the language that they're using. Oh, yeah, he's part of the boule. I'm like, what boule are you talking about? But again, you've heard that somewhere else and now you have adopted this. Even one of my boys said that, oh, no, he's part of the, how about he's just trying to make it, right? Thing that just, pardon me for dancing around. I'm glad we freestyle a little. How familiar are you with Choke No Joke?
Yeah, I am. I've seen that he's making them. Who is he on? Is he on Art of Dialogue?
He's on Art of Dialogue. He's on Ray Daniels. He's on these cats out of Atlanta. He's on their show. But again, because he's on this anti-Jay-Z campaign.
I thought he was also doing the anti-Diddy too, because the big word on the streets is he about to get the lickety clamp. Anyway, go ahead.
They've been talking about Jay-Z. They've been talking about that for a while. I think the steam let out of Diddy, so he went back to Jay-Z. And I think because of Dave's travail.
I don't know. They piping up on that Diddy burner. That thing is Tisa Tales has had an interview with Lil Rod, and then brought old girl that got shot in the face. I apologize, I can't remember her name. And they were having a moment.
I saw her interview, and God, thank God she's doing well. But it's like all these people that start talking something crazy. Some of the stuff they be talking about, I'm like, Ma, what does this have to do with the price of tea in China? It becomes funny, right? Because this would have been cool if you would have just stuck to the script. But I think you don't really know what the script is. So therefore, you're just gonna start freestyling. But what's his name? So Ray Daniels. Ray Daniels is a music executive. Definitely worth a listen. He's developing a podcast. This is called God something. It's spelled Gaud. I like some of the stuff that he says. Not everything, but some of the stuff that he says.
Mm-hmm.
So they were asking, Rockefeller was falling apart because Choke had a front row seat. And he was like, how come Jay didn't look out for Dave, this, that, and the third? He said, Jay got $1 billion. How come Jay-Z don't have a homeless shelter? How come he don't have a kid's school? How come he didn't have this, that, and the third? How come he didn't do this? And Ray Daniels was like, how do you know that was even in his agenda? At the end of the day, Jay-Z made a lot of dudes a lot of money. At what point is the cutoff? Right? So you fell on hard times, right? Is it my responsibility to come back here and get you when I'm going this way? You and I aren't necessarily linked anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hearing that perspective aligns with some of the things I've always said. Because I'm like, why whenever they say, he ain't put no money back in the hood? Like, I don't know where that's written. Like, why is that his responsibility? If I make $10 million and I never come back home, right? What? Oh, he ain't helping his people out. Okay. Like, y'all are confusing what would be nice with what's mandatory. But I digress.
That's interesting. I saw him popping up here and there. Again, my bucket of people, like things that I can't take in. I was like, okay, something is going on. He must have some song or something. I have no idea why, because he's been around for years on the internet, dropping whatever singles and whatever he's doing and traveling and interviewing people. And I was just like, oh, why is he coming up now in the frame of him being like, not to say this like the whole Cat Williams truth sayer, but coming in and being on that Gene Deal and everybody else that's on that train. Like, I guess now these people, like, I don't know if he's getting paid, but I guess people are serving out checks now. Tell your story and get a check. Exactly.
On that Cat Williams type time. He's like, Cat made all this bread. He got all this popularity on a humble. He wasn't even trying.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're saying that is even going to start to come to a halt, right? The content creators and all these people on the internet, that stuff is going to start dying out soon, because at some point you're going to have to actually know what you're doing, right? To be able to survive in this space. Give you another example. I've been hearing for weeks, even months, that podcast space is dead, right? Oh, ain't no money in podcasting, but I'm hearing that for Black people. I just watched Travis Kelce and his brother, Jason Kelce, just got $100 million from Spotify. What's his name? Joe Rogan got $2 from Spotify. There's another couple, I forgot what their name is. They got like another girl, got $120 million from Spotify. And there was another gentleman, I think he got 80 to 100 mil, something like that. I'm like, the podcast space ain't shrinking. It's shrinking for y'all niggas. Again, I'm having this elongated internal and sometimes external conversation where we, for some reason, think that we are going to be given afforded the same opportunities, afforded the same financial reward as people who actually know what they're doing, right? And people who actually add value. I tip my cap to a Charlemagne, right? And what he's able to create. I tip my cap to Joe Budden and what he's able to create.
I'm still kind of scratching my head on that one. I think sometimes it's time and placement, right? You know what I mean? Where everything aligns, because he's been around for a while. And I forgot, I think him and Young Miami had some back and forth because she was clowning him on his one song. And one can say she got that. We can't be from where we are, and I like it. But I think because she had gotten two of the what was it? She got 2 awards for her, Carisha Please, and it was like, oh, did he purchase it? Blah.
Mm-hmm.
And him being in the space legitimately for a minute, and nobody hit him off with any type of award. So I get that. But I think with him, is placement. I can't personally sit through all of it at any one given time. I might catch a clip or two. It's just not for me.
Even Gillian Wallow, I think the appeal is the authenticity, right?
Sure, I can see.
But they also have something to say versus the guys who are just trying to, okay, I don't have anything else to do, so I'm going to start podcasting. It's, I have no other options left. Can't be a rapper anymore, so now I want to go podcast. And if you don't necessarily have, if there's nothing about your personality that adds value, that's attractive, that's intriguing, I don't know if Joe Budden is as interesting if we don't know that he has some problems psychologically and he's not as open with some of those issues that he's been with on all of those shows. I don't know if he's as interesting. There's a beauty to tragedy, especially with us. We like ourselves some drama.
And he's had iterations of that too. They've had iterations of that Joe Budden podcast, I think, too. Like before it with Academic, they had Star on there at one point in time too.
They did some tinkering. What's his name? Had Mano had one, right? And Mano's was fairly successful for a while, but it ain't gonna go nowhere because what is Mano really saying? If you spent most of your life in a penitentiary, there's but so much that you actually know. And I don't think he's dumb. I actually think he's probably one of the smarter ones, right? But at the same time, it's like, what are you really bringing to the table? And I think with the challenge, like even with a Choke No Joke, he's trying to get a podcast off the ground. And he is, when you hear him sit down and speak, when he's the main person, checking for what he's talking about.
No, because he had a YouTube channel. Oh, he still does.
He does. Anybody checking for that?
Yeah.
That's why I said his whole thing is, let me jump on Jay-Z as long as I can.
That was his new angle. Or
and he says all these guys are men, Jay-Z jock riders or some whatever catchy term he came up with. And what's funny was like watching the interaction between him and Ray Daniels was interesting because Ray Daniels is an executive, right? And you can see he's made decisions. He's been behind the desk, and he's trying to tell him, I know Jay-Z may be somebody you cool with, but bro, this ain't homeboy business. And I think that's really where a lot of us get it confused. We look at it through the homeboy. And it's okay, bro, that's not what it is. But either way, I am ready. We want to start talking politics. Do we want to get some grown-up stuff?
Yeah, we can. That's fine.
You could usher us in if you like, or if you want, you usher us in. You're better at it than I am.
You know what? I felt like with the whole DNC wrap up, the way time is going by so quick, it felt like that was a month ago.
It does. It does.
Yeah, I think there's so much that's happened from the DNC. That CNN interview with Harrison Walsh, which I did not watch. I probably saw one clip and that was it. Personally, from the DNC perspective, it is what it is. Like the hype of how the DNC knows how to throw a party, so to speak, in the sense of engaging people. And the whole idea really is, to me, is just like, beside the delegates, it's one big pep rally, right? Because you got to get these folks gassed up to go back to their respective, wherever part of the U.S. they are, and really go hard for the Democratic ticket. And that's all up and down and sing the praises. So I think probably after all is said and done, and as like new stories come out, there's always something else that gets you so thrown off. I think overall, the engagement was there. Probably some of it from a lot of the people that came up to speak on Kamala's behalf. After a while, I think after watching each of the nights, it was getting a little repetitive. I know she calls people. She's a friend, all of that good characteristic stuff. As far as I know her nieces were cute. I think I went off into another realm of looking at who is her advisors and what that team looks like.
Those are all of Obama's folks. Obama and Hillary's folks are on her camp.
I finally found where Cedric Richmond was. He's one of the advisors.
He was on TV the other day.
And I think it's just because I follow what was happening already. So I wasn't necessarily, I can't say impressed, but it didn't do anything for me. And then I think we left off before we did go over to Obama speaking. Michelle definitely did her thing as always. But yeah, I feel like it just, as soon as it was over, it was done and it was on to the next thing, so to speak, unfortunately, which was looking at who were these people that are around her. So she put together the whole DNC.
She's a behind the scenes mover and shaker.
She's down with Donna Brazile and that crew. They did the book a couple of years ago. So yeah, she has an interesting team. So I started to look at what that looks like, because obviously there's always talk of what her policies are going to be. Okay, I'm over the get to know Kamala section of the DNC. But what did you think overall?
As far as the actual DNC itself, it was cool. I don't typically watch them. I can't do the whole 4 nights. I just don't have the attention span. I'm sorry. Any the pomp and circumstance, knock it off. Or the pageantry, I get it. I'm on board. I don't need it. I think especially with her and her unique circumstances, given the brevity of her candidacy, how quickly all of this stuff came together and what have you, it was necessary. You weren't the target audience.
Yeah.
You already engaged regardless. Right? You and I are essentially, we're the throw-ins, right? We aren't, nothing that she was going to say or do, right? She could have got over there, tripped on stage and did a backspin. It would not have affected how you and I look. That being said, there's a segment of the country that needed to see her, right? That needed to see her and need to hear her story. And I think they did a really good job. And I don't typically watch these conventions, but I think they really did a good job in terms of how they segmented all of the speakers and how it almost was like a buildup or an escalation into the crescendo, right? Where they were telling you her story along the way, even you mentioning her nieces and her family members, making her human to those who don't necessarily know her, right? I think that was particularly effective. Her speech being 37 minutes long, also thought that was effective, right? Because she said what she needed to say and got off the stage. I think to a large degree, I think a key of her effectiveness is deviating a little bit away from what traditions are. Donald Trump's was an hour and 30 minutes, if you want to call it a speech, right?
Yeah, they were chasing Carrie Lake off the stage too. They were showing the prompters like, yo, get off, he's waiting.
Confusing people searching for asylum with people coming from wherever they're coming from, saying that they left insane asylums, right? That's why he keeps bringing up Hannibal Lecter. So he's doing these false equivalences and weird correlations, right? But staying on Kamala, I think it was effective given the amount of buzz that was created afterwards, right? She's now, for the most part, leading everywhere that she's supposed to be leading or in contention. Now, Virginia's in play. North Carolina's in play. Georgia's in play, right? Registration is up with young women, with women in general. I think it's 175%. I believe that's the number, right? All the Democrats are coming home. In terms of the people who were soft on their support for Biden, Black people are starting to come home, right? Women are starting to come home. Now, that being said, Trump still leads with white people, but who expected anything else? For the most part, the polls have demonstrated a bump, right? She's leading with Latinos and Latinos, like that number's retarded in terms of how much she leads him by. But with women and Latinos, she's leading by 13 points, right? With Blacks, I think might be like 30 or 40 points, whatever the number is, right? If this continues, her path is pretty solid, right? Oh, and the youth, she's blowing him away with the youth. Biden was down 11. She was up 6, and now she's up like 13. with the youth vote. If that continues, that's essentially that's the ball game, right?
Yeah.
And
I always feel when it comes down to the polls, I'm always so curious as to, I know there was one that was cited that does speak to the voter registration as being like the real part of being
the
able
key
to
indicator.
count. Yeah, a key indicator as opposed to whoever else is doing these polls, Ramneson and whoever else. Yeah, to that point, I'm just one of those. I feel like we were here before. And,
But
you know,
why are we?
I think
Do you
to
mean
the
with Hillary?
extent, I think with Hillary, I didn't
Okay.
even, not even thinking from a Barack perspective. And again, I think that the window of momentum will make people who may not be down with Kamala say they are and do something different. You know what I mean? Because nobody wants that smoke right now. No one wants to be Ice Cube today because he's trending because of his, or any other day for that matter.
Did you see? I didn't see any. I heard he put another video out. Did he say something else?
So I think what ended up happening was they can't, from what I gathered, I didn't see it on his X timeline, but I'm not sitting up there holding down Ice Cube on X. But there is a video that takes an interview that he did talk about Trump and then layer on like the Trump campaign. No one is, this was earlier this morning when I actually saw it. So no one can say, and I'm not going on the Trump timeline. I didn't have time for that. Go through there, wherever he's at with Rumble or his Truth Social. I can't say that I saw that video as something coming out from his campaign.
Okay.
But there is a video that kind of talks to that. And pretty much basically what Ice Cube was saying in that interview, and that interview is old. I got to look up who it was with. Is basically saying the same thing that we characterized in episode 2 on why Black men, Black Trump voters gravitate to him. So because that came up, his timeline is all in shambles now. Everybody is tying him also to Steve Bannon, which he's one of the people that funded his whatever that league is. So that kind of started that whole spiral again around Ice Cube, the Platinum Trend, and all of those things. Yeah. So because of that's why I made that reference to Ice Cube, because he was trending today. But I just get concerned about people not wanting to be against the wave, because if you are, then you'll get pounced, and then you feel like you're not part of the crowd, so to speak. But when you go and vote, you go do you, and that's fine. I think that it's one of those times where the other argument is that, so what? If you don't want to vote for Kamala, you don't have to. There's a whole bunch of other third-party people. There's Trump. There's a lot. You can vote for whoever you want, but I think the inherent thing that people feel is if you're not for Kamala, they think you're automatically voting for Trump. And because of that, nobody wants to be part of that windmill, what you got to do for yourself, because you don't want to, you're not windmilling for Trump, but you don't want that smoke from not going with Kamala. I think that's the kind of thing that bothers me and has me concerned. Not that I don't think that she has the capability to win, right? That's not it. I'm more on the, this is close, be careful.
Yeah. Now, I agree. I think when you look at the voter registration, right, those are big numbers. You can't deny those numbers. The concern is the efforts that some of these governors are putting in place.
Oh, yeah. So something was popping in Georgia.
To purge the voter rolls, to keep people from voting. That is a concern. My understanding is they're gearing up too. There's a pack on the Democratic side that's essentially saying, yo, we ready for you to pull the nonsense. So we have lawyers deployed as well, should you try this nonsense. There was another one that I saw, I didn't look too far into it, saying if Trump tries this again and challenges the election, they're essentially going to indict him again, right? They're like, this is going to be yet another indictment. All the while, right, the indictments are piling. Just got an indictment in the federal case, right? As you're watching all of these different things develop, him losing his composure routinely at his rallies. You're starting to see cracks in the armor where people who are at these rallies, like this dude saying the same thing over and over. We're not hearing anything. And you starting to hear people from his camp starting to complain a little bit about how he's not on message, right? He's not on message, and they can't define her, right? This is what kind of led into what we were saying earlier, with everything kind of culminating so quickly in such a short amount of time. You can't really land a blow. You're trying to define her. You can't really define her. What are you going to say? The other problem is, what can you tack on to her? The unfortunate part of within our community, a lot of us don't know that a vice president is simply a ceremonial position. And essentially it's just sitting, waiting to be told what to do by the president's staff. Roland Martin did an excellent job the other day. One of the things he pointed out, and he said effectively, was she's got to do a little bit of a delicate dance, because she can't come out with a policy that counters what Biden's existing policy is, right? So she can only really give you highlights. She can't really get into any depth. But the reality is, what would that depth even look like? Who knows enough about this stuff to effectively understand that she's going to come out with a 25-point tax plan that she's going to sit here and pull out pen and paper and just break it down? What are we even talking about?
Yeah. I think the only thing I would say with that, but this is also coming from a perspective of following this stuff, being engaged. Why couldn't it be different? You know what I'm saying? If she had a different policy, meaning that, hey, this is me as a campaign for a president versus being a vice president. I get it, why it happens. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel if her policies were different, if she had a different policy, just say on the whole Israel, that's a hot button topic, but just say if she had a different policy on it than Biden's stance, I'm running for president. I'm gonna, you know what I mean? But I get it. Like, people can't, like, it's hard enough to get what the role of the vice president is. So I know I'm asking for leaps and bounds by people being able to see that this is me. You know how they say, I'm not speaking in my official title. Like, Deb does it all the time. He goes on interviews and I'm not speaking as the Department of Transportation person. I'm speaking as a private citizen or whatever, Pete Buttigieg, and then he goes in on whatever he wants to go in on. And I get it. They're not the same people, but I would like for us to eventually get to that point where we can differentiate.
I think we can eventually. Let's just keep in mind, the American electorate's a bunch of idiots, right? There's just a bunch of dumb people out here who, the minute you add nuance into an equation, right? It's like all of a sudden everybody forgot what we're talking about. Scaramucci did a good job. I don't know if you're familiar with him. I forgot what his first name is.
Yeah, I know you're talking.
But he was talking about, he said the reason why Trump is so effective is he gives you this abortion slip up that he just had.
Oh, hey, Florida,
he said he switched out of both sides of his mouth at the same time. He's giving everybody at the table enough to eat, but nobody's going to be full, right? So he said A plus B equals C. And at the same time, say A plus B equals G. You were happy just because he lied to you and you're okay with it. Meanwhile, he just contradicted himself 3 seconds ago, but it didn't matter to you. This is why it's, again, when you look at how.
But who is he talking to? Because I see Scaramucci is more like on the MSNBC side of the things now.
He's on CNN.
Oh, okay. Even worse. I knew it was somewhere that I don't frequent, but I do see him pop up. So to me, and I guess like now CNN is supposed to be this non-biased, give you both sides. I beg to differ on that.
Nonsense.
And maybe I need to see if Scaramucci pops up on Fox and says that same thing over there. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I think he's speaking to an audience that gets it, right? And I feel that CNN, regardless of how I don't frequent them, but people do. I think that they're still part of that mainstream media, the MSNBCs, the Foxes, the mainstream. But go over there and talk to them about what's happening.
Like, Fox will want him because he's anti-Trump now since he got fired. But he's got his own YouTube channel. He's developing that following. But he's on
They-
point. Of
with
course,
the-
that's a new medium. That's where it's going. On-demand content is the direction where it's going, right?
Mm.
But what he said, one of the things he said is, you've got to attack him the way he attacked you. You got to call him out on his bias. You got to make him respond, right? That's why he wanted the mics muted for the debate, because he doesn't want her to be able to chase him after he says something. So they said,
Now that's going to be must-see TV.
oh, and they said essentially he has to prosecute it. And I think that's to a large degree why he's not able to land a blow, right? If this is somebody, she's a skillful communicator. When you're watching her interview, and I didn't watch the interview like you did, right? But when you ask her questions, there's a pause, there's a thought, and then there's a response, right? How effective people communicate, right? When you watched Obama's the same thing, like a pause, a little bit of a pensive moment, and then a response to the degree where he's almost like you're watching his thoughts kind of conflict one another while all these happen. He's stuttering or whatever. We've gone away from that being effective communication to now this dude just comes out here and starts talking about if you had to deal with being bitten by a shark or electrocuted, which one are you going to choose? It's, okay, what? This dude is like a 2-year-old, like a toddler, just walking around here bumping into everything. And they're just letting him go, right? Because now you're telling me the fact that it's weird what we're looking at. That's why you say, why can't she establish a position that's counter to Biden's? You can't, right? Because you're talking to stupid people who don't understand there's nuance to everything. As the vice president, I watched this thing today. We're gonna get to him. Tyrese and his dumb ass. Tyrese, go back to crying.
No, sir. He is in that box. That box is full. Else I got it.
So Tyrese said, oh, Biden and Harris signed this anti-Asian bill. Dumb nigga, shut your dumb ass up. Shut your dumb ass up. That's why them chicks keep divorcing you and taking your kids from you. Bro, shut your dumb ass up. Because first and foremost, there's no anti-Asian bill. It's an anti-discrimination bill. And we just keep going full circle. We are so willing to listen to someone else and adopting someone else's points that we'll repeat it like it's our own. Roland Martin did an excellent job breaking it down, right? If anything, any entertainer, Black entertainer in particular, learn from Jermaine Dupri. And you know what? I tip my cap to him. He wasn't like, he
phoned a friend for sure.
Yeah, he didn't ego trip. So him not knowing what the vice president's job is basically blown over because the fact that he was willing to listen. The fact that you got all these grown millionaires who do not understand what basic civics is, that's a problem in itself, right? Honestly, it's a problem in itself. Because we as Black men in particular can least afford to be ignorant, right? We not know some of this. Like this stuff has to be like at quick command for us where we understand, okay, I know exactly what I'm looking at and I can contextualize it. But we've gone away from knowing the basic stuff. So when you have a Tyrese complaining about Vice President Harris and Biden signed the bill, whether Harris agreed with it or not, that bill was going to get signed by Biden because her job is ceremonial. Right? She's not in a position to call any shots. As a result, she can't now say, I have a counter policy to the person that I'm still reporting to. And I think in a world where everybody's smart and everybody knows what time it is and they can tell I'm telling you what the future looks like. If you look at some of the commentary in social media, you hear these people talking about, oh, well, she want to do all this stuff. How come she ain't do it? Why she ain't do it for the last 4 years? Like,
see, so this is why I was on my Emily in Paris siesta and I couldn't tell you what was going on. This was the one that maybe is about a week ago where he basically said, yo, y'all questioning Kamala, why aren't y'all questioning Trump? Question the other dude. That's what he said. But then all of a sudden now they on the Breakfast Club, it gets interpreted that now he's saying that nobody can question people. And that was not what that man said. And I said, you know what? Let me go watch Emily in Paris. Y'all are not going to raise my blood pressure. Because I said I needed to tap out for a minute. Because just to see the spiral and how things happen and what your voice is and how things can go. So to your point about Jermaine Dupri, yes, tap a friend that actually knows or is in that space because now, and get it while it's hot, right? Because then that can help diffuse. Because while you getting lit up in your comments, now you can also fill that timeline with what the truth is, right? It's just when things happen and there's no rebuttal to what goes on, then your point, it just continues and it gets spread into this whole, I saw that whole thing blow up and I said, I can't. It's just...
the challenges, again, right? And back to the original when I was talking about Vlad, we don't know how this stuff is supposed to look. Sadly, a lot of us have never had serious conversations. We don't partake in serious conversations. We don't know the rules of engagement for discourse. We don't know how to say, okay, I'm not going to introduce an unsubstantiated point because I will not be able to support it, right? If you ever hear how dudes speak, which is, to me, again, the world how I was educated, it's a choice of words in the world that I worked in. It's a choice of words. Every word that I say has consequences. Every syllable that I write in an email has consequences. So I am economic with my word choices. When you got dudes who start a conversation off with, I feel as though, bruh, is this a therapy session? Like, why are you telling me what you feel? I remember having a back and forth with this dude on Instagram.
God bless you.
Yeah, when I can't sleep, somebody gonna catch it. So somebody in the comment section gonna catch it. And he said, long paragraph. I said, do me a favor. Give me everything that you just wrote just now. Take out your opinion. Remove your opinion. Let's see if you can still come up. You can still put up. Could you still write anything? Of course, I never heard from him again, right? Because, again, and I don't want to take shots at people's education levels. People don't understand. You can feel however you want to feel. But if you're engaged in discourse with someone, how you feel becomes completely inconsequential, right? Are we having a fact-based conversation? You want to tell me what's going on in your life, right? We don't know those differences. That's why when we say stuff like, oh, Kamala's been in office for 4 years, she should have been able to do X, Y, and Z. They don't know that's not what the job is, right? Oh, Michael Jordan is a multimillionaire. He should be able to reduce the price on his sneakers so people stop killing each other. Wait, what? Like, well, when you hear that stuff, you're like, what are you even talking about? Like, the game of the game is capitalism, right? If y'all want to shoot each other over a pair of sneakers, that ain't got nothing to do with Michael Jordan, right? By the way, Michael Jordan don't own the company. He just licensed his name so they can sell his sneakers. All these different small things that we just simply don't know. And the responses that come out of our mouths and our reactions to it are all purely conjecture and emotion based, right? And now, so here you are at a gunfight. You are at a gunfight with a box gun.
I thought you was gonna say it.
Shoot. A slingshot, pea shooter, right?
Right.
and it's, I think what we're seeing, and I don't see an end to it because the more and more you hear, I don't see it getting any better. There's a component of us who are content to be ignorant and who are content to not grow. Let's just say somebody like Tyrese with all the resources in the world. How you go on Al Gore's internet and start sharing your uninformed perspective on stuff?
No, because I think he on this Club Shay High. I'm not Shannon Sharp under the bus, but I think when people go on his show, they get a certain level of exposure that they think that they can just ride that wave as long as they can.
You're right. Good point. Very good point.
He was on the Breakfast Club. I think he was trying to channel Marvin Gaye. That's why I said he in that box, because I said it's too much Reese right now.
I forgot about the Marvin Gaye cosplay.
I said, woo, child, no. You in that box. You in time out for me, because I can't do it.
We're going to put you at the kitty table until further notice.
You over here. So I think he's me keep pushing that foot on the gas.
Yeah, but I will tell you, and again, this is still developing. I think social media has removed the ability to be embarrassed, the gift of being embarrassed.
Because I think you have to do so much to get through. To me,
Yeah.
I even think, going off on a side tangent, I personally thought that this whole Judge Mathis thing was like, does he have a TV show coming? Is somebody doing so? I don't know. And that's the cynic in me, because I was just like, unless it's a baby or somebody on the side, I don't know, but will soon come. You can find out.
Yeah, I did find that one a little strange, I gotta tell you.
But I thought his TMZ, to me, at first I was like, all right, you know what? People grow apart. Shit, y'all grown. I don't care. Like, whatever.
Huh?
But then he did the TMZ interview, and I was just like, I think TMZ is also staged. Hey, I'm gonna be here, or they hanging out in LA or whatever. And it just seems so contrived to me. Not that he can't be wanting his wife back, but if you saying the reason why she filed for divorce is because you weren't around, but now you in the airport doing the same shit that got you here. Hey, I'm no therapist. All right, get out of here.
I was like, okay, what am I missing? Don't I always see these two together? Listen, she was going on the Magic Johnson annual summer cruise around the world, right? They were two of the couples, them, Samuel L. Jackson, and a couple of other people, Rodney Pete and Holly Robinson Pete. I'm like, yo, whenever I saw him, I saw her. Then all of a sudden, they get a divorce. I was like, Judge Masters, what did you do? Like, at that, like, how long were they together? 40 years? Like,
39. Yeah, they're saying 39.
Why even bother?
I don't know, but my first thought was, oh, y'all must have something y'all trying to
It's going to be a
up.
TV show.
Yeah, y'all stirring up something. Your version of Ayala and somebody fixing somebody's life. Go have at it, man. Go have at it. But anyway, I just think that now, for you to get through all of this noise, you got to do some real dumb stuff. Like, you got to really be out here, like you said, cosplaying Marvin Gaye or doing whatever kind of, and that, because Tyrese can sing. Well, what was that? You know what I mean? Like, it even if it brings up, oh, what the hell are you doing? It's still a response that gets people to engage and to say, and if you like Tyrese or you don't, or he crazy, whatever your feelings are, you out there now. Period. It doesn't matter. I'm quite sure I take a second, I can think of somebody else that has done some dumb shit that he really wants some attention right now.
It's essentially where we are, right? And on the subject, like watching Kamala Harris the other day when she was in the interview and Dana Bash asked her the question about race and how she just basically said, next question, right?
I was like, good.
Like, literally, girlfriend, don't even play with me. That well-articulated response, short and succinct to some of the shenanigans we're seeing on the other side, right? It's with the Tyrese's and all the other stuff we're hearing, right?
The Umar debates.
Umar wanted to debate D.L. Hughley. D.L. Hughley would wash. Stay away from D.L. Hughley. Listen, Umar, you do not want the problem. Stay away from them grown-up men, them grown folks, right? Because you could do all that hooting and hollering and yelling. Them cats gonna be looking at you like, bro, you gonna sit down and have this conversation, or am I gonna leave? Because I got places to be, right?
Where did they leave off with that?
DL said, I will debate you in the lunchroom of your school, right after fifth period or whatever it was.
And I think I heard something about like somebody in the class that graduated.
There you go, right?
Like that, yeah.
And, bro, I would have never responded to him. Like,
I think he just said that the cafeteria is ready. He didn't, because in DL's response, there's a lot to it. That means your school is accredited. That means that the whole syllabus, the whole bit is approved. There's a lot of layers to that.
You in one sentence, but again, this is where you started off, right? Where there's I'm trying not to use Obama's word.
That's gonna be in every episode.
It's coming out.
I know it is right there.
But there's this, in that space, right there, you have to a large degree make a spectacle of yourself to be heard and to be seen. The question now becomes like, okay, what are we even talking about? I think that's one of the larger problems with the unserious end shambolic black men, that contingent, you guys can't hear what she's talking about. There's a subtlety to being able to speak in a cogent, succinct manner, right? Because you have to be able to contextualize what it is she's talking about. If you don't have that foundational knowledge base, you have no idea what she's talking. None of this stuff makes sense to you. None of this stuff is going to register. It won't resonate because you're not hearing the big stuff. Oh, I was watching something the other day, right? Where there's these brothers. There were brothers at a Trump rally, right? Who happened to be outside. I guess they didn't let them in. One of the brothers said, "Oh, I'm voting for Trump because he's trying to make child trafficking illegal. And I work with people who dealt with child trafficking." The other one says, "I'm voting for Trump because I know the difference between a man and a woman." The other one was, "I just like Trump." You listen to the way these folks talk, and you're like, first and foremost, one of the things that I've come to the realization, like, that nigga ain't voting, that nigga ain't voting, and that nigga ain't. That nigga definitely ain't voting, right? Y'all ain't registered to vote. Everything you just said to me just now, your whole speech pattern says to me you can't read. You have people who don't necessarily understand the nuance that it requires to be engaged in these conversations. Like I was saying about you earlier, right? You're not going to be impacted by the DNC. You know this stuff down cold. There's nothing they're going to teach you, right? You're not going to learn anything. You don't even need to be inspired. But all of I forgot how many 100,000 volunteers, those people are inspired, right? Those are the people who get it. I think there's a segment of us who are simply just not going to get it. They're just not going to. You look at the reaction, and I shared with you Van Lathan's post that touched on the subject matter that we talked about in our last pod with the black men who feel unseen politically. What does being seen politically actually look like for you? I'm a black man. I don't know what I want the Democratic Party to do for me. I don't have an idea of what they could do. If they offered me something right now as a black man, I don't know what it would be. Can I get some ribs? Like a rib voucher? Right? Because
don't let them hear you say that.
No, here's what I mean.
You need to be asking for reparations. There needs to be something.
But that's not for me only, right?
No, yeah.
This is the point, right? It's whatever's going to happen for me is going to happen for you. So when they say, I feel unseen politically, I don't know how I would be seen. What do I need specifically for me that you won't benefit from? Nothing. I'm an entrepreneur. I own 3 businesses. I run 3 businesses. I don't make enough to benefit. My companies don't make enough for me to benefit from any lower tax cuts. All 3 of them together come in, to be honest with you, as a conscientious business owner. Let's just say I was making $100 million a year. I have the expectation that I would be taxed in court, right? Because I make more money, I'm supposed to pay a larger share. It's just how it's supposed to go, right? I don't look at myself as somebody who needs to be catered to specifically by a political party. I know what their role is. The reason why I'm backing you is I need you to execute on what you said you're going to do. I think the challenge is, again, as a leak over into what we talked about in the last subject matter, in the last episode, Black women are by far the most educated demographic, right? The most hardworking demographic, the most versatile demographic, the most resilient demographic. Those are all qualities that in any walk of life are valued by any company head, anybody in leadership roles. If a Black woman is winning, I'm winning. So I don't need anything targeting me. I'm happy to watch them capitalize on all of their hard work, effort, and energy, right? That's a Black woman is part of my community, right? I have a client who is a lawyer in Philadelphia, and we're talking, and she was telling me about all of the homes that she owns. As a matter of fact, the Jamaican lady. I came here from Jamaica, has an accent, but she's a lawyer here. All the investment property. This woman is winning. right? She came here from another country, from a third world country, became a lawyer, and now she's out here doing it, right?
Mhm.
Did the Democratic Party do anything specifically for her? Not at all. The woman just came out here and put it together, right?
Mhm.
At the end of the day, you need to pull up a mirror and slap the first person and say, hey, it's your fault I'm not where I should be. Ain't a politician in the
Right.
world going to do anything for him.
I think that's where that Kamala goes around, and I'll include it here, but it's something around, like, she said that she's not doing something for Black people.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that is the thing, because people hear that and not understand exactly what she means. There's not even a disclaimer, an explainer next to what she means by that, because just to your point, that's exactly it, right? It's not specific to Black people in particular, but so say, for instance, she's proposing that $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers. Black people are in that, but or even who's benefiting from the loan forgiveness, that piece or whatever.
Student loans.
Student loan forgiveness. There's different things that aren't inherently to say that it's a Black thing, but we can still get benefit from it, or some of us do. Not everybody's getting.
Go to school. You ain't got. If you dropped out in the 6th grade, you can't use student loan forgiveness. I get it. Right? There are so many Black women who are positioned to take advantage and capitalize on these opportunities available to them.
Mhm.
That's why they're winning.
Mhm.
If you was a 30-year-old wannabe rapper, my dude, I'm sorry. And now you've come to the realization you're 40 years old and you've got no marketable skills. I'm sorry, I apologize, but ain't nothing here for you. The idea that you're pointing outwards instead of looking inwards for answers
Mhm.
is problem number 1.
Yeah.
Number 2, number 3, and number 4, right?
Right.
And again, there's an accountability that as a people we really need to start taking in. When you don't understand something, go look it up. I was saying, people are really beefing about, there's all this big deal about, oh, Kamala ain't even Black. I'm like, when did Kamala Harris say anything about being Black this time she's running? I don't remember her having come
Yeah,
out
they're
here
not
saying,
doing that.
I'm Black, vote for it. That's a you problem, right? That is really a you problem, because the woman is just running. If Kamala Harris lived up the street, we would all be saying, who that red bone, right? We have seen her before. This is not the first version of her. Why all of a sudden is it a big deal? Like, it's so weird how we as a people look at these things, and now they become now we've vilified her for things that we've known. Like, how many people do you know like her? Again, light-skinned chick, she always got the nice doobie, her hair's always tight, so on and so forth. Oh wow, she educated. She's a lawyer, blah, 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 right? When you ride in the train in New York, you know how many Kamala Harrises? Like, are you serious?
Very true. Very true.
This chick went to Howard. What are y'all talking? She's an AK. What are y'all talking about? Like, oh, she's not claiming being Black. I don't think she has to. The hood knows she's Black.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Always great to have a chat with you. Always great to discuss matters and get your perspectives.
Absolutely.